Loom knitting is a form of knitting that uses a knitting loom or round loom instead of traditional knitting needles. It's a great option for beginners or those who find using needles challenging. Looms come in various shapes and sizes, and they can be used to create a wide range of knitted items, including scarves, hats, and blankets. Here's a simple guide on how to make cozy scarves using a knitting loom. Materials needed. Knitting loom. Choose a round knitting loom appropriate for scarf width. Looms come in different sizes. For scarves, you may want a medium-sized loom. Yarn. Select a yarn of your choice, considering its thickness and texture. Bulky or chunky yarns work well for creating warm and cozy scarves. Loom hook. A loom hook or knitting tool typically comes with the loom. It's used to manipulate the yarn and stitches on the loom. Yarn needle. A yarn needle is useful for finishing the ends of your scarf and weaving in loose yarn ends. Steps to make a cozy scarf. Step 1. Cast on. Anchor the yarn. Tie a slipknot around one of the pegs on the loom, leaving a tail for later use. This is your anchor knot. Wrap the yarn. Begin wrapping the yarn around each peg in a counterclockwise direction. Continue wrapping until you've covered all the pegs. E-wrap method. Use the E-wrap method to create a simple cast-on. Starting with the first peg, wrap the yarn around the front of the peg and bring it to the back, forming a U shape. Repeat this process for each peg. Step 2. Knit rows. First row. Using the loom hook, lift the bottom loop over the top loop on each peg. This creates the first row of stitches. After completing a row, push the stitches down to the base of the pegs. Continue knitting. Repeat the process of wrapping and knitting rows until your scarf reaches the desired length. The longer you knit, the wider your scarf will become. Add new yarn, optional. If your yarn runs out or you want to switch colors, simply tie a new piece of yarn to the end of the previous one and continue knitting. Step 3. Bind off. Decrease rows. When your scarf is the desired length, start a few decrease rows to taper the end. To do this, skip pegs during the wrapping process to reduce the number of stitches. Bind off. Once you've decreased to a few stitches, cut the yarn, leaving a long tail. Thread the tail through the yarn needle and weave it through the remaining stitches. Remove the stitches from the pegs as you go. Finishing touches. Secure the end by tying a knot with the tail. Trim any excess yarn and use the yarn needle to weave in loose ends. Step 4. Final adjustments. Stretch and block, optional. If you used a tight stitch, you can stretch and block the finished scarf to make it more relaxed and improve the drape. Once you've completed these steps, you'll have a cozy loom knit scarf ready to keep you warm. Experiment with different yarn colors and textures to create scarves that match your style or make thoughtful handmade gifts for friends and family.